Well, hey guys, and welcome to another episode on our Tribulation Soldier COMS YouTube and Facebook. And this is probably going to be the last testimony, just for a little while, obviously. But these 10 testimonies do cover 20 years, almost. So there's so much in between, so much good stuff, so much difficult stuff, so much challenging, so they'll all come out in future teachings and sermons and stuff like that, But it's just really important that at least give a foundation as to where me and Sharon come from and what we've done, who we are. The next we're moving on to is just our qualifications for doing what we're doing. It's very, very important, especially this day and age with anyone on our Facebook page can preach sort of thing, so I've really got to share that with you. So as always, please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit notifications. We've obviously got our Birnie Family channel with motorbike vlogs and fishing and all sorts of stuff. And of course David and Emily have got their Birnie Family Fun for kids, the shorty short channel on the gaming channel. Yeah guys, with these sermons and these testimonies, I never want to come across these as being really depressing. These are all steps and stages as you grow as a Christian when you give your life to the Lord. And your life goes up. It's almost like being in primary school, secondary school, college, whichever way that's sort of done in your country or wherever. And that's what God tends to do. And it's not always through challenges, it's not always through that at all, it's through great blessings, where God really speaks to you and you have these amazing moments with him. It's like a life of a trillion moments with him, what I mean? They're just so sweet. And obviously as a Christian, you sort of get on and move on because you're more experienced. That's all it is. You just look back upon your testimony like I'm doing just now, and you see all those times with God, and you see all those times he's came through for you when, I've not been a man enough to do something, or I'm about to make a stupid decision. God's always been there. But there are obviously quite big moments in life, and of course, illness is always a big one, it's always a big one. And like I said, we came back to the Lord in 2002. We were called to the ministry then actually, but we didn't actually start doing being a youth and young adult pastor until 2009. It was quite a long period of training, but basically the last 4 years of that was spent with ulcerative colitis. And it's the strangest thing, you really will wonder, because this is quite a while back. Nowadays it's common knowledge, but way back when I sort of fell ill with ulcerative colitis, the doctors were saying that, years ago, there was just hardly any cases of Crohn's or colitis or anything. And now they were seeing like one every week or one every couple of weeks. So it was becoming more and more sort of well known, So for those of you that don't know, ulcerative colitis is basically an autoimmune, as far as I know. But you get ulcers basically from the tip of your mouth down through your throat, stomach, intestines, and it really isn't good at all. It's very painful. It can be treated medically, and sometimes people go that way. But for me, it was the full hog. It was getting the large bowel removed, which I've now got a colostomy bag, and then a future operation just a few months after to get the rectal stump removed. And really, I haven't looked back ever since. But I've been back walking with the Lord now for a couple of years, and as things happen, things drop off and drop away in your life, and during that time I stopped drinking and I stopped smoking. Again, there's a whole teaching on drinking. That's not for that stopping drinking altogether is not for everybody, but I'll share about that a little later. But I'd smoked since I was about 9 or maybe 10 years old, I think, when the first time I tried one. And when I was younger, everybody smoked. Every party you went to, every pub you were in, the place was blue with smoke. There's not a lot of people compared to before that actually smoke. But I decided to stop. I really wanted to stop, and it was very difficult. I'd tried before, and this was as a Christian. I'd tried before, and wasn't too successful at all. And like I said in previous testimonies, we had some of the most amazing teachers at that time in the church, really spirit-filled. And one of the ladies had actually said to me, "I don't think you should stop smoking." I was like, what? She says, "I don't know, I just believe the Lord's laid in my heart that you shouldn't stop smoking." And of course you're a little inexperienced then, and I thought, no, smoking's just not good. I've got to try and get out of this. So I managed to stop, You know, but the patches weren't great. It weaned me right off, and that was it. But after a few months after that, I started bleeding inside, you know, so when I went to the bathroom there was a lot of blood and stuff like that. And I was getting ulcers, and I was tired, and certain foods were hurting me, and all these sorts of things, and it was just awful. And as per usual, as a Christian, you're saying God can heal me of this. Absolutely. I grew up with that. I knew God can just touch anyone's heart. It doesn't matter what the illness is, God can heal it. You know, so I thought, right, okay, I'm seriously ill, but God can heal. And in that first 2 days of my 3-week stay in hospital, I went to the bathroom 46 times in 48 minutes. I've actually got a log of it because I had to keep it for the nurses, you know, and I just kept it. And it was just awful in that 3 weeks. And of course, once you get to that stage where you're told you've got an incurable disease, I'm sure there's many people watching this just now knows that feeling. You think you're okay, and then all of a sudden you've got this incurable one that you can do very little about. And so at that time, you know, it was quite devastating. But again, you always have that hope. You've always got God. You always have that sense of Him, you know, during that type of times, you know. And I thought, well, we're just gonna have to wait to see what happens. So they tried to treat it, you know, with tablets and various things like that, you know. And I actually went through a period of using a drug for cancer, you know. It's basically just pulling away my immune system, and I had to stay in the house for like 3 months. And they were just trying to curb this and move me forward. But that never worked either, so we really just had to go for the operation. And you know, up to this point, I was really needing it now. You know, I was just in pain a lot. It just wasn't good. I'd never had morphine before, you know, and here I was with morphine and all sorts of things. So I went in for my operation, and as goes with operations for me, it went really badly, and I woke up in serious pain. And the morphine that you get through the drip and stuff wasn't actually working, and nobody could really understand what was wrong with me. But it was really sore. I had a terrible 10 days in hospital. It really wasn't good. I was just so glad to get home. When I got home, this is just a little side thing, I actually fell out with quite a close friend, and I used to get very angry and passionate, and you know, I just couldn't be moved. And I was that angry, in fact, that I actually put myself back into hospital because I'd strained everything. So I was back in for a few days and then straight back out again. But of course, about 3 months later, I decided that was it. I mean, I'm a worker, and I was supposed to be off for 3 months, and I went back in 2. Maybe it wasn't a good idea, but I was still not right, you know. It was a lot better those months, but it just wasn't, you know. And at the end, I was just out of steam. I mean, I was absolutely wrecked. I just couldn't walk. I was so tired and felt so bad. So what they decided to do was to remove my rectal stump, that last little bit of the whole thing, and they took that out. But this one went a lot better. And you know, I woke up in the recovery, you know, the surgery recovery, looking at the ceiling, and I thought, I'm not in any pain. I'm not in any pain. I thought, oh man, that is so good. And I'll tell you, from then, everything got better and better and better, you know. But during that time, between the 2 surgeries, I actually had, I think it was just before we went in for the second surgery, I had some of the best weeks of my life, you know. And I was really feeling, even more so since coming back to God, much better, much happier, and so on. And it was really quite unique. And what God was doing was giving me a little window into the future about how I'd actually feel. And he wasn't wrong. He absolutely wasn't wrong. When I recovered about 3 months after that second operation, I felt different. It was just so good, you know, it just so different. And of course, it's a bit of a honeymoon period, you know, and life gets back to normal. But I could see a distinct change, a very, very distinct change. Now, I'm sure a lot of you out there would say, well, look, there's loads of people who've had stuff like that and their lives change and they change and all the rest of it, you know. What means, you know, how does it mean God's changed things? Well, God is very, very specific. This is the difference with God. Absolutely, it brought me and Sharon closer together. Me and Sharon's son, my stepson, really close together as well. You know, it made a huge difference in our family life. And as I've always said throughout this, when you're ill like that as a married man or a married woman, it's not just you that goes through it, you know. Sharon had to go through her own personal challenges through that, so did Jamie. And I was just glad it was me. I would have hated for Sharon or him to have to suffer this. I'd rather suffer it myself. It was one of the things that kept me going, actually. But all that normal stuff that you get, but God was very specific. And the way God works with poisonous traits in your system, like fear or aggression or whatever that may be, he actually hits it like a smart bomb, you know, like a surgical hit, where he actually takes just one aspect or 2 or 3 aspects and he seems to just hit it dead on without hurting anything else around it. But in that, through those challenges, he has to bring all this stuff to the surface. And I realised during that time just how fierce I was. Angry person. I would argue with anyone. There'd be 100 people in the room, couldn't care less. I'll take his on you. That's what I was like. Frustrated a lot, impatient, fearful inside. It's always true of many people, let me tell you guys. The way God put it to me was this, that those traits were more poisonous and more harmful than the ulcerative colitis. And he had to remove them. In part, it was probably a lot of that probably gave me that. Because of angry frustration and impatience, you know, just that whole stressy look at life going on. Quite possibly. But that kind of fear, all those things make you pretty unhappy. And what God does during a time like that is bring them to the surface, show you them in their true light, and you just, wow, Lord, take them away, please. That was the huge difference after that whole season. And don't worry, guys, you know, not all Christians go through this. If you're called to the ministry, you will go through more extreme experiences like I have. But guys, please don't be put off. These are things that can happen, you know. And you know, there's plenty of Christians I know have never been through stuff like this, so don't worry about it. So, guys, I'm left with pretty much daily pain. Not severe, but it's there. It's very difficult to relax. I do kind of move around a bit because I get a bit sore and uncomfortable and things. Obviously still have the colostomy bag. It's never going to go. Obviously we're removing the rectal stump. There's no way back from that, you know. It's that's what it is. I always knew God could heal me, and he did, obviously, the way that he did things. But again, guys, he was far more interested in the emotional and spiritual, the mental, than he was the physical. And I'm so glad he removed that. But I am left with these things. I still smoke 2 cigarettes a day, a couple of cigarettes a day, because that seems to keep it at bay. When I stop, everything starts turning to blood again, you know, and I look to God, and, you know, and you might wonder why you're left with that. I know he'll heal me in time, absolutely no question about it. He will not have me living like this for the rest of my life. But that couple of cigarettes knocks your pride. And this is a scripture. Paul said that he was left with a thorn in the flesh. His was eye problems, something called eulathemia, and it made his eyes burn, and, you know. But Paul said that in these things I rejoice, because it keeps me from pride. It keeps me from it. And I'm the same. If I didn't have something of a safeguard, it's relatively embarrassing. I'm a Christian pastor, I have to smoke a couple of cigarettes a day. Stops me from pride, and that to me is so much more important. I saw who I really was. God showed me who I really was, and I did not like him, and I never ever want to go back to that. I will take the daily pain, the colostomy bag, the hassle that goes on with that, you know, and these various health issues, you know. I'll take it not to be that man again. God doesn't have to do it like that in everyone. He's got different ways to do these things, you know. He's just masterful how he just does it. But you always remember that it's him. He's the true surgeon. He's the one that gets these things and takes them out of your life and sets you free. From that point on, I have never looked back. Everything changed. You know, just a few months later, realised my calling and became a youth pastor. I was a youth pastor for about 3 years. Then I moved on to being an assistant pastor and moved on to that. I could never have done any of these things. And to the person I am now, I hate thinking about that person. I'm so glad he showed me. So guys, of course, in all of that, you know, you've still got your visions from God, you've still got your experiences that you had throughout, and there's probably too many to name. And obviously I'll share them in future sermons, they'll always come up at some stage, you know. But I just wanted to share this with you today, you know, just to show you how different things are when you're a Christian, and when you go through these type of things, you are never alone, and you know you're not. It's almost like having an atmosphere around you, an atmosphere around your spirit that protects you, and it really, really is quite something. Dark times here and there, but I'll tell you, God's always there, and there's always such good things that He does. And of course, the idea with God is He's trying to bring you to that next place, to move you on from high school to college. The great thing about that is that, you know, you're a senior in high school and stuff, and you're like, you know, we're at the top, moving to college, you're back to the bottom again, you know, and that really is what it's like. But God can take you anywhere. I keep mentioning the ministry, you know, of being a pastor in church and all those sort of things, you know. That might not be a person's call. It could be another call in some other area of the world, you know. That's just how He does things. Yeah, so we've got that whole sort of testimony series of our qualifications. I'll try and do them over 3 videos. I don't want to sort of labour on it, but I just want you guys to see, because it is so important. False teachers, incorrect teachers, people that are genuinely kind of hearts in it, but they've got the wrong idea, are everywhere. It just is the way that it is. And the scriptures and God have a very specific process for you being set forward for the honour of sharing His word and helping people. But the whole false teacher thing and all that will never change. You know, it was back in biblical times, it was the same thing that is now. Same when radio came on the scene, television came on the scene, satellite television, the internet, you know, they're always there. So it's very, very, very important you guys know who we are. So for now, guys, listen, thank you so much for watching, and if you've been through this whole testimony series, thank you, because I do kind of rabbit on, you know, I'm a preacher, you're born to talk, you know, you're not really born, you've got to really learn to listen in a lot of ways over the years, but I love preaching and teaching, it's just absolutely phenomenal. So obviously, guys, as time goes on, we're going to be putting on more prayer videos and teaching doctrine, our worship arts playlist of the worship arts we know that are new and up and coming, and obviously we're doing a lot more sermons like this, so basically lots and lots to come. So please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit notifications, that would be awesome. And obviously, guys, you can get the Tribulation Soldier COMS Facebook page as well, on my Instagram, and of course we've got all our Birnie Family stuff, all the funsy stuff, and our Birnie Family Fun for kids. So I just hope we've got plenty for you. But for now, guys, God bless.